Before attempting any question, and more specifically a question that contains multiple principles, the key to saving time is identifying what is the core word in each principle. So in this question, principle 1 defines what is state. Principle 2 talks about fundamental rights being enforceable only against the state. And principle 3 mentions about a particular fundamental right. Once we have identified what each principle talks about, we need to quickly read the facts and then see what all principles would be applicable and for which specific line of that fact. So in the facts, when we see Zenada Private Limited, we can immediately gauge that it is not a state as per the definition of state under the Constitution of India, which is given in principle 1. Secondly, the facts state that Sukrit wants to file a case with regard to loss of livelihood being a fundamental right. So immediately we need to see what all options are provided in this question, and we can see that the option C says that there is loss of livelihood to Sukrit, that's one, but it does not constitute violation of fundamental right. This is because a fundamental right has a precondition that it is enforceable only against the state. Thus, this loss of livelihood cannot fall under the definition of a fundamental right, because a fundamental right always goes hand in hand with the state. So these kind of tips you need to keep in mind while answering questions that have multiple principles, so that the time spent in answering these sort of questions is not wasted in constantly reading the principles once, then reading the facts again, then rereading the principle. So identify the key words of the principles, quickly sift through the facts and then apply the principle. Although a word of caution, do not presume the principles on your own based on the legal knowledge that you have gained through your class lectures. This is because at times, although the actual legal principle might be something else, the principle given in your question paper would be a fictitious legal principle. So you cannot assume the truth or the veracity of that principle given in your question paper, but you need to apply only that principle that has been provided in the question. So for instance, the principle 1 might have been changed to say that state includes all private organizations and fundamental rights are enforceable against the private organizations. In that situation, you would have to take the principles as given in the question for their word value and face value and not apply the real legal principle that we have taught you in your classes.